and gentlemen, distinguished guests, industry leaders, policymakers, and dignitaries, a very warm welcome to AI and electric energy, Sparkamenting for a Sustainable and Resilient Future, an official pre-event to the India AI Impact Summit.
Let's begin this important conversation, energy and AI. Official pre-AI summit. We are here tonight because we stand at one of the most defining intersection of our time. On one path, we have artificial intelligence. It's evolving from generative AI to agentic AI. Now everyone is talking about physical AI. And other side, we have the transformative and breathtaking in the potential. On the other, we have electric energy, the very lifeblood of our economies, our societies, and our aspirations. For a long, we spoke of these two forces in a separate conversations, right? So energy is separate way, and we used to deal with separately, and AI is also same in that. But I think from now onwards, also in the future, we speak different languages. It feels us a stark and compelling truth. AI does not just compute, it consumes. By 2030, AI is projected to drive a significant share of the world's electricity demand growth. The numbers are staggering. It's evolving it at a rapid scale. Global data centers alone could consume nearly 1,000 terawatt hours, equivalent to the annual electricity needs of a major nation. This is not a distant forecast. We are talking about just 5 years from now. The next 5 years will see much of this capacity come online. The choices we make and the collaborations we forge in rooms like this will determine whether India not only participate in the AI age, but also lead in AI era sustainably and resiliently. The 265th pre-summit clearly shows that India has intention, and we have all the necessary skills, necessary things, and what is required for creating this AI infrastructure in India.
India and Sweden making an impact, because that is what we can do together, and we can do it together with partners like Hitachi Energy. So we are witnessing a new strategic equation. AI capability equals, of course, data, algorithm, but also times sustainable energy. I think that there is a nice symbiosis to be had between the middle-sized country in the north and the giant of India. India brings unparalleled scale, a formidable IT ecosystem, and the world's most ambitious renewable energy expansion plan. We bring expertise. We bring experience in smart grid technology, in industrial decarbonization, and sustainable innovation. Together, we can collaborate. We can collaborate on HVDC transmission, actually a specialty for Hitachi, and energy storage. Both of them are critical in managing India's complex grid. Companies like Hitachi Energy are at the forefront of building digital twins and autonomous systems for the grid. Thus, investing in grid tech is as critical as investing in AI chips. They go together.
I still remember 5-6 years back when we were doing the demand forecasting for India. People said that huge amount of green hydrogen, green ammonia will come. Huge amount of data centers will come. So you plan such that we don't default in giving them electricity. We made huge projections, and slowly we had to do a course correction so that at least we don't overbuild the capacities. But this will keep on happening because this is an area which is still growing. Use cases are being defined. There are various use cases which has already started happening, but I'm sure these use cases are hardly could be 1 to 2%, not more than that. There will be a number of more use cases that will keep on getting innovated into the systems, whether it is in the power sector or adding to any other sectors that comes in. And for all, you will require AI. You will require, once you require AI, that means you will require data centers. AI will require data centers. Data centers will probably require reliable supply at an very, very least cost, because it has to be made affordable for its use. And if the two things has to be done, then probably you will have to optimize the entire system. And how do you optimize the system? So far, we had been doing the traditional way of optimization. We had been doing a traditional way of planning, whether it was resource adequacy plan or it was transmission plans or distribution plans or any kind of thing. But probably that's not going to be enough. Probably again you will need AI to do an optimum planning, so the circle gets completed and you are going to go round and round in this cycle.
Fundamentally, when we speak of what is happening in the AI space, we speak fundamentally about the kind of infrastructure we need to provide what needs to actually run in this country. In terms of, if you're talking about data centers and a large volume of data centers coming in, we've heard some of the investments that many hyperscalers and others have announced in this country. And it's not just hyperscalers, there are also participants from India itself who'd be looking to build out this capacity. And as this capacity gets built out, you would find that the critical bottleneck or the critical availability factor is power. And quite honestly, as a person representing that sector and as a person who's representing this demand for more power and for what we can sort of put together in terms of energy for the data centers, I, for one, have very openly told the stakeholders on this side of the table that please do not expect any subsidization of the power. This is something which we will not support. You'll have to pay the full cost of power, because ultimately, especially if we are setting up data centers which are intended for even working the AI loads from across the world, which is something that India can legitimately do given the strength of the power sector and given the strength of some of the recent developments there, where actually the cost of power, especially for industrial and commercial uses relative to other power, has come down. And in terms of relative costs, today, our findings are that we are competitive in terms of cost of power, which is one reason why we are an attractive location where people want to invest, including in the data center capacity. And so there's really no reason why we have to subsidize this. So it's a key achievement of the power sector that they've been able to create this situation, that we have this, one of the largest grids in the world. We have the ability to support infrastructure of this kind. And that's one of the big attractions as to why these investments are getting made.
We know that AI or data centers, they work on electrons. And electrons are very cheap, or one of the cheapest in the world, in India. So why not data center should be in India? Why only in few countries? Electrons flow through conductors. Conductors are carried by transmission lines. And transmission lines in India are very, very reliable. We are having a very strong power grid in India. We have 765 kV system, we have HVDC system, and we have one of the largest grid in the world. So data centers should be developed in India, and use of AI should be maximized. But for energy security, we need to have cross-border interconnections, international connections with our other partners like UAE, Saudi, Oman, Singapore, and other countries. For meeting government vision of Viksit Bharat by 2047, use of artificial intelligence will be required for precision farming, which will yield increase by 25%, like real-time monitoring for irrigation, for pesticide control. Then in health sector also, AI is very, very important. Then especially for energy, for predictive maintenance, it can increase efficiency by 30%. And even for education, AI is going to play a very, very important role by having personalized learning platforms. For security, energy optimization, and traffic, digital governance through predictive analytics, and making India corruption free with inclusive services.
So the question today is whether India's grids are ready not just to supply energy, but to deliver smarter, cleaner, and more reliable power. That's the challenge that we'll unpack today. How prepared is India's power ecosystem when it comes to generation, transmission, distribution to support large-scale AI adoption over the next few decades?
The transmission system of India, for example, when you talk about hyperscalers, the location of the load will matter. Now, for example, if you are locating that hyperscaler in the center of the demand, for example, Noida, we expect a lot of growth in terms of hyperscalers coming in. Though they haven't come up, they have announced the capacities yet to come. Maybe next 5-6 years they'll come. Now, when you say how ready we are, I must say we are definitely ready. And this is the same question it was asked 6 years ago, 7 years ago, when said that EV boom is coming, how ready is the system? Now, the EV boom, the difference is that they are purely located in low voltage grid. And the problem was more complex. Somebody was saying the transformers will blast. But God forbid, nothing has happened. So because why? The planning, the resource adequacy has been in a way that you, and then the EV tariff, EV TOU rates, or maybe smart charging, etc., demand flexibility side has mattered. What is different here is the hyperscalers, mostly their load factor would be 85-90%. That means kind of base load. One hyperscaler may be 1000 megawatt, 1 gigawatt, kind of a small city load coming up with 85-90% of capacity, PLF, plant load factor, that consistency is there, which is the base load, is going to be a challenge. But then what kind of challenge, how it can be mitigated? When it is coming up, there are technologies which say that the flexibility in the data centers can be there. Some maybe 5-6%, 10% they can flex load. I'm talking about mitigation way, how it can be done. Confidently, yes, it can be done. I'm trying to say how it can be done. AI hyperscalers are going to increase the utilization rate of our transmission system, which is good in a way.
If you really look at the power system, but traditionally the way in which it's been designed, depending upon how the loads have been evolving, or how the generation on one side and the long distance transmission line and the loads. So that has been the case, right? It's been always a cost focused. The AI requires the reliability, not 99%, but 99.9999. You can keep on adding what is the 9. So that's kind of reliability is required, and that's the reason you heard the Central Electricity Authority chairman saying that you went to the data center, they're talking about N plus and then N plus 1, because the reliability is extremely important, and it is so. That's the whole design of that is based on the reliability in that. So how do we ensure that when we are designing our future power systems, which are especially powering the data center, we start looking from that angle in that. Today, for example, in one of the loads which is catering to the any of the commercial or office spaces, it doesn't matter if it is not 99.99, it is a 99%. but it does matters there. It is a 99.99 in the, that's the one aspect on the reliability. There is a study done, and in one of the data centers, the loads can vary from 100 megawatt to 250 megawatt in seconds. So if you have millions of people are raising the query, so how do you ensure that this flexibility into building into the data centers? I think that's very important. While you may be having an affordable, and on top of that, and country like us, it's very important that we need to have affordability, reliability, and green power. Is all that it makes the difference in that.
That there is a lot of scope to improve and optimize the AI models so that the energy use itself come down. And you use the phrase fit for purpose. Right now, most of the LLM deployment, or the AI deployment rather, is based on the generalized models, right? So if you slowly move towards now more and more agentic AI solutions, which means that they are set and defined for the specific purpose, you already start reducing the inference energy use. And that helps you reduce the overall energy requirement that is needed. The second thing that we are seeing, like some of the organizations, there is a startup from IIT Madras called Compact AI. They have started changing the technical architecture, system architecture of these models, so that you can run these models instead of GPUs on CPUs. Right? So certainly your power requirement is coming down as a result. So yes, I think moving away from generalized to fit for purpose for specific use cases would be a big unlock in order to reduce the energy use at the first place.
Startup story in India is unfolding in slightly different way than it is happening elsewhere in the world. The startup should be placed in a proper ecosystem. So when I say proper ecosystem, what exactly does that mean? That means the academic research that is carried out in the academic environment, the startup can provide translational value to this academic research. Talking about IITs, we do have this kind of ecosystem present. For example, IIT Madras, IIT Delhi, we have Technology Park or Research and Innovation Park, which is a hub for various startups. There are energy dedicated startups which are available over there. Classic examples of the success stories of startups within the IIT ecosystem are Aether from IIT Madras, Atomberg, IIT Bombay, and Botlab Dynamics. You must have seen the drone shows that are happening across the world now. This is thanks to Botlab Dynamics. It was a startup in IIT Delhi. In India, there are 350 plus energy startups which provide services as SaaS, software as a service, cloud-based this thing. Coming to how we can actually accelerate the efforts of the startups converting the TRL3, TRL4 kind of research into the actual product. The onus is on both. The industry, should understand that there are certain different requirements from academia, and the academics should understand that the industry requirements, it's a different planet, to be very frank, right? So both of them, they have to take efforts to bridge this gulf. Then only the startup ecosystem or the startup environment that we have, it will get accelerated in the country.
What is happening today that we see startup ecosystem differently, industry separately, academia separately. What we want, and of course few years back we were talking lots about public-private partnership, but then India is a very different kind of country. If you go to many other parts of the world, over there industry is part of the academia. They fund research. But over here, we are used to getting free research results. And researchers also, once they develop the technology, they don't know how to price that technology. And they put a price, industry says, why should I pay that? So the way energy is generated is going to be different. The way it is consumed is going to be different. The role of grids, so all those are going to see sea change difference in years to come. And that is where everyone is hesitant. But surely it is that energy demand is going to go up, whether it is for AI or otherwise. It is going to go up. and let's also look into that there will be some decentralized energy production and usage as well. And there are going to be many more technologies which will be available.
And the disruptions can only happen if the regulators are looking beyond the traditional way of, approving a projects. Okay, and that's where I don't want to say the bottleneck, but I say that everyone needs to evolve in the whole ecosystem of power systems. If you're talking about right from the planning and then executing and then regulators and the equipment manufacturers, the OEMs, etc. Everyone needs to evolve to cater to these kind of changing needs in that. So those are the things I think I expect the regulators moving in from, project-based to program-based approach, etc.
I think I'll just do one question, and I would ask everyone to be brief about it. Mr. Ranjan, coming to you, do you see AI now, all that we've heard through the evening, as a stress test for India's power sector or as a catalyst that finally accelerates grid modernization?
I think it is the later one, provided we are using it very carefully. It's like a knife if we are able to cut our fingers or cutting the fruit and having it, right?
So, Venu, within all the technology that you've heard of and the talk of technology and various systems, how important is localization? Because AI infrastructure is not just, an asset, it's a strategic asset as well. So how important is localization for this?
Localization is a super important in my view, and localization is not only just doing kind of only the parts of it, but in my view the localization, end-to-end localization is required. Localization in terms of the manufacturing, in terms of the skills, in terms of the innovation. You name any of those things, I think India has all those things. What we need is to bring those things at a scale and the speed that is required for this. Thank you.
Right. Mr. Jain, coming to you, I think we're moving fast, and that's good. From a grid management and demand forecasting, where do you see AI creating the most immediate and transformational value in India's energy system?
Yeah, as I said, I think both in terms of planning and forecasting, AI has a huge role to play in terms of managing a power system. But I think one thing which we are not talking about enough is that AI needs a lot of data to actually give you all the insights that you need. So investment into hardware is needed to generate that data. If you do not have metering across your power system, you're not going to get the data that you need for AI to actually give you predictive analysis or better planning. Similarly, if you do not have sensors in terms of, what is now the temperature of this transmission line, etc., you're not going to unlock the insights that are needed. So often in this, let's say, the glamour of AI, we're not talking about the hard reality of the hardware that we need to put into place for us to actually leverage all that data into insights. So I think that's a big opportunity for India. Talking about indigenization, if we can actually focus a lot more on more cost-effective sensors across the board, whether it is thermal sensors, whether it is current sensors, whether it is voltage sensors, and so on, I think we'll do a huge service in terms of actually then leveraging AI effectively.
Right. So if we need more data, we also need more human capital. And Mr. Abhyankar, coming to you, are we investing enough when it comes to power system talent, AI energy research, and interdisciplinary skills?
Well, I don't have a definitive answer for this, but just quick thoughts. So if we talk about power systems, institutes teaching power systems at postgraduate level, we have 100 plus credible institutes which offer programs. And in my opinion, I think this is correct size given the projections that we have. Only thing is that the students graduating from this institute, they need now invariably need to be armed with AI. So if you don't do that, it's like sending a batsman to the pitch without protective gear per se. So you want AI to be there for sure. And talking about the investments in this sector, I think government of India is on the right track because through India AI mission, it is proposed that there'll be 500 PhD students, I think 5,000 PG students, 8,000 undergraduate students that will be supported for next 5 years in the area of AI, and I think this is a wonderful thing. Yeah.
Right. Batsmen with protective care, but what about institutes that can serve as national test beds? How can institutes concretely build long-standing, bridge that gap between academic and market-ready scalable energy technology, especially in the area of AI?
Well, first of all, I'll say I'm quite optimistic at the way India has responded in the past to various technologies. Let's talk about whether it's computer sciences, whether it's about biotechnology. Now, coming to the readiness of those students, we can do little better than what we are doing at the moment, because many of our engineering graduates, they are not industry ready. So maybe in years to come, we are also going to have finishing schools. And as it was mentioned during the discussions, we really want industry to come much earlier. It's not that they want students in the end. The students should be going there to do internships. They should be open to that. They should also come and take classes. So the way it is happening in the West, that industry leaders, they also teach to the students sometime. They can take sabbatical and go there and teach them, or otherwise also just take a day off in a week and go and teach the students. That's how, because they are going to help you tomorrow. So it's an investment in those students, so that ultimately you gain from each one of them. You don't end up reinventing a broken wheel, but you complete the wheel and start using it. Thank you.
I think that's a wonderful part to end this panel discussion, where we say that, energy security is not just about the technology or the grid or the power. It's also the human capital, which is very much needed to take us forward. Also, it's clear that AI is not just a solution for energy, but is also a new class of energy consumer that must be planned, regulated, and engineered responsibly. Thank you, everyone.
Let's connect the dots between the transformers and the algorithm, and between the grid and data center, and between policy and innovation.